All right. Hello. My name is Mr. Whyzguy. Welcome to my thoughts. Now that I'm saying this, it sounds kind of scary, but it's not really that bad. Now, remember, these are my thoughts while I'm gaming. So take everything with a grain of salt. Enjoy these very short clips.
Here's the point. You're making a moral statement. I'm not making a moral statement. We know conservatives don't agree. We know the left does. Twitter has a policy that the left agrees with, the right doesn't. Therefore, Twitter has a policy biased against the right. That's a simple fact statement.
You see how logical this guy is? And if you didn't follow that, well then you're not really that much of a logical person yourself.
I mean, if you're coming from the position that if you don't agree that this is the thing.
I mean, I believe that there's like there's probably more of a spectrum of this, but let's just simplify it just for the sake of this video or clip or whatever this is going to be called. And say that basically there's two types of people in this world. There's the more logically orientated people, which there's a lot fewer because it requires a lot more brain power to do it, to be consistently doing it all the time. And then there's the more emotional people, and that's more people that rely more, that basically live their life more on an emotion than on actual what do you call it, logic. But logic requires a lot of brain power and understanding and stuff like that. Emotions, you kind of just go with how you feel, and that's super subjective. And that's why people that go basically like, well, obviously not 100% on what you feel, but you lean towards, you'd rather have a more of an emotional type of conversation than a logical type of conversation. A logical one will just bore you, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't really care to figure it out. So that's what I mean by you're probably just more of a emotional type person than a logical one. So what do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments below.
I mean, Twitch.
And Tim is a lot more of I can already tell you that Tim is a lot more of a logical type person, and Matt Binder is more of an emotional type person. And you'll see it as the video plays.
They're saying it's a thing. Like, it's their platform. They're saying this is a thing on our platform.
You're misunderstanding.
How am I misunderstanding?
I'm not making a moral statement.
Okay.
I'm not saying Twitter is right or wrong. Well within its rights to have whatever rules it wants.
Sure.
Conservatives disagree with the concept. Progressives agree with the policy. Twitter's rules suit the view of the left and not the right. That's simply put.
Twitter's deciding to make those rules. I mean, I don't
absolutely.
know
We agree on that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if conservatives don't agree with those rules, Twitter's rule set is biased against the conservative worldview.
I mean, there's all sorts of rules I don't agree with too, but that doesn't mean they're biased against my worldview. That's just what they decide.
We're talking about conservatives. Conservatives is not just one person. You're talking about yourself. You're just one person. Sure, you could say it's probably biased against you, but no one's going to give a shit about that because it's just you. You're just one person. Conservatives is not just one person. It's a lot of people. It's a major base on their platform. So I think that holds a lot more weight. Well, it needs to be looked into a little bit more than just one person. So Matt Binder's analogy does not really, like, it makes sense on the individual level. It's just that it doesn't really compute for what we're talking about here, because we're talking about a lot more than just one person. Matt Binder's conflating one person with a ton of people, and slightly narcissistic, but you know, it's Matt Binder. I don't really know him too well.
The misgendering thing is clearly cut. Obviously, if we want to nitpick, you can talk about the various right-wing factions and what they believe.
I mean, if you don't agree that trans people exist when they clearly do, then I don't know what to tell you.
No one has said that.
I don't know who said that on the right.
Yeah, I'm on the right. Look, I don't believe in the concept of transgenderism.
Specifically, the concept of transgenderism, not transgender people. He didn't say he doesn't believe that transgender people exist. He did not say that. Just have to make that so clear, because people are just going to take that out of context. Like, people don't really understand. It's so annoying.
I don't believe there's a difference between gender and sex. And I would say that Tim is making a descriptive statement. He's not saying that it's good or bad that Twitter has this specific policy. He's just saying that on the issue of transgenderism, Twitter has clearly taken a side. And their side is that a person's gender identity is a concept which supersedes their biological identity. Okay, that is a decision they made as a platform, which is a politically biased decision.
I mean, they're basically saying trans people exist, though, because if you take...
See, why are you trying to reduce that into, oh, well, they're basically saying that they exist, though. I guess you could say that, but that's not what we're talking about. You're oversimplifying this. it's not that simple, man. Come on.
Take that away, then what is? I mean, what do you? I'm not quite. I mean, I know what you're arguing, but you're basically saying it's biased against conservatives to admit that trans people exist by.
No. See, look, he first he says that they're basically saying this. Now he's repeating himself. I'm like, no, that's not what they said. You simplified it, and then you used your oversimplification to justify, to put words in their mouth. I'm like, come on now, that's so soft. That's sophistry right there. He simplifies the argument, changes what they say, so he's basically putting words into their mouth, and then he uses the words that they put into their mouth to why this is you're bigoted. Basically, why you're bigoted. Come on, Matt Bender. You can do better than that.
No,
That's not what they're doing.
Straw man argument.
Yeah.
Come on.
They're not saying trans people
so-
exist. They're saying you are forced to acknowledge that you believe this identity is their identity, even if you don't agree with that,
They're
or
not
else you're
even
not on
saying
the
that.
platform. Yeah, because that's what the misgendering policy is.
They're not even saying that. They're saying you have to use this language or we will ban you.
Okay.
Conservatives say, I do not believe in the use of that language. And it's overt. I mean, I would say 99 out of 100 conservatives would be like, I'm not going to use preferred pronouns. If Twitter's rules are in line with your worldview or a progressive worldview, they're biased against conservatives. I don't think we're arguing. I think we agree on that.
I mean, I don't think it's biased against conservatives, to be quite honest. But we could go in circles on this, or we could just, it's up to you.
So you think conservatives are you're not making sense, man.
I mean, what do you mean? If you basically tell someone,
We know conservatives don't use the concept of misgendering. We know conservatives will call a trans woman he, right?
yes,
Therefore, Twitter's rules are not fitting what conservatives do and think on a daily basis.
I mean, you could argue.
It is like it's 1 + 1 = 2. It's like just right there in front of you.
So what do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments below.